Chen Kaige's 1992 masterpiece, Farewell My Concubine spans 5 decades of Chinese history through the lives of 2 Peking Opera performers. The narrative follows Chen Kaige and Duan Xiaolou from their brutal training as children to their rise as opera stars, weaving their personal struggles with the turbulent events of 20th century China. What makes this film fascinating is its embodiment of melodrama conventions. Melodrama, a dramatic form that emphasizes heightened emotions and moral conflicts, uses spectacular elements to explore both personal and social struggles. Through its rich visual style, powerful musical score, and focus on emotional excess, Farewell My Concubine exemplifies classic melodramatic elements, telling its compelling story of love, betrayal, and artistic dedication against a backdrop of political chaos. We will look into the generic regimes, exploring the times and places that define the generic characters, systems, and their struggles. By doing so, we aim to explore the question of how Farewell My Concubine uses the convention of melodrama genre to examine the interplay between personal identity and collective trauma, particularly through the lens of feminine roles, queerness, and the tragic love triangle. How do these deeply personal struggles unfold alongside larger social shifts? How do they create a narrative that explores individual and collective experiences? By leveraging the heightened emotional intensity and symbolic visual storytelling of the melodrama genre, the film not only captures Daiyi's internal conflicts, but also reflects the broader culture and historical trauma of the time. In doing so, the film redefines melodrama as a powerful medium for exploring identity, history, and the inescapable weight of social expectations. This video explores the film's use of melodramatic conventions to examine the interplay between personal identity and collective trauma in 3 parts. This part particularly focuses on the use of melodramatic mode in Dozi's forced gender transition and the societal pressures that shape his tragic journey. The film employs symbolic elements such as red costume, blood, and the copper pipe to visually represent Dozi's emotional and physical transformation, reflecting themes of queerness, identity, and social conformity. In one pivotal scene, Dozi, dressed in a vibrant red costume, practices his role as a Don in Peking Opera, isolated from the rest of the troupe. The red costume, traditionally worn by female characters, symbolizes his alignment with femininity, his emotional intensity, and the pain he will endure. This red also foreshadows the bloodshed that follows, linking his transformation to sacrifice and social expectations. The copper pipe, a disciplinary tool, is violently forced into Dozi's mouth by Shito, symbolizing social violation and his second castration. This act silences Dozi and completes his forced transition into womanhood. Blood from his lips mirrors the red costume, visually reinforcing the cause of his identity transformation. Together, these elements reflect Dozi's tragic arc, where his personal suffering embodies broader historical and cultural oppression, using melodrama's heightened visuals and emotions to critique identity and conformity. In the same scene, sound also plays an essential role in portraying Dozi's struggles of gender identity and personal trauma. His recurring mistake functions as a motif that mirrors his inner conflicts with gender identity. The wrong lyric sung by Dozi, "I am by nature a boy, not a girl," which is supposed to be opposite, is a recurring line that can be discovered since the earlier plot. The line significantly highlights his personal struggle, reflecting the torment of his forced female impersonation. Later on, he finally gets to fix the mistake, signifying his complete transition in gender identity. The recurring Peking Opera music is used as a motif to reflect traumatic experiences. It is first used as a non-diegetic sound after the cutoff of Daiyi's 6th finger. The scene symbolizes his first transformation of himself to survive under the brutal social environment. Meanwhile, the opera music before the copper pipe scene serves as an indication of upcoming fate of Dozi, another brutal transformation to survive with blood and pain. In comparison, another melodrama movie, Happy Together by Wong Kar-wai also uses recurring music to reflect personal experiences. The repetition of tango music creates an atmosphere that amplifies the melodramatic emotions, symbolizing the complexity of characters' relationship by portraying both love and hate. Melodrama dramatizes the characters' conflict with their social environment through the tragic love triangle. To do so, the director uses POV shot of Jushin and Dae to highlight their conflict, followed by a tracking shot of him approaching her. A medium close-up shows Xiaolo at the center, separating the two and emphasizing the tension within the love triangle. Dae forcefully opens the door as Xiaolo announces his engagement. Using deep focus, the camera forms a triangular composition by placing Dae in the foreground and Xiaolo and Jushin in the background. This hint at the tension in the love triangle. In a slow and tense atmosphere, Xiaolo and Jushin are presented in a long shot, while Dae is in POV shot, and this is to show his helplessness and her victory in the conflict. This continuing conflict peaks during the Cultural Revolution scene, which is artistically presented through Xiaolo's accusation of Dae and Jushin. Shot through flames and with deep focus, the scene places the characters in the foreground against the red guard in the background, reinforcing the tense social atmosphere, Xiaolo's inner conflict compared to Dae, and Jushin's despair. The POV shot reveals Xiaolo's compromise with political power, the hypocrisy of his previous upright image, and Jushin's disappointment. The pan movement demonstrates a criticism, and Dae cries out, but King Chu has knelt down, and this Peking Opera not died? At this point, personal conflicts have turned into a social conflict, from Dae's accusation against Xiaolo to the Peking Opera's accusation against the whole social chaos and corruption of the political power. The film concludes with Dae and Xiaolo reuniting after 10 years to reenact the opera. Backlit in blue, Dae slowly turns to Xiaolo and tragically takes his own life with a sword. His death is rooted in melodrama's exaggeration of the plot, which reinforces love in its most intense form, tragedy. For a reasonable tragic narrative, melodrama uses historical and social context because oppressive or unstable periods can become a convenient framework to obstruct love through death. The film therefore uses the Cultural Revolution, an era of violence and culture purges that stripped Dae's lifelong identity as a Peking Opera actor, concubine Yu, and his future. Hence, the backlight reflects hopeless lives in an oppressive society, casting shadows on those who have lost their future. This is similarly shown in Happy Together, which highlights the impossibility of characters' reconciliation and Hong Kong's uncertain transition to China. And in Lan Yu, by Stanley Kwan, where a queer love freed from social constraints ends tragically in death. The backlight thereby functions to evoke a melodramatic